This is the fun time. We want to read this content from this Excel file. So for this lecture, I want you to download this file, which is called studentsrange.xlsx. This is an Excel file from the lecture resources. Then we upload this file to SharePoint Online or OneDrive, whichever you have, and then roll up your sleeves and have your hands dirty. So let's start to work. First, I go to SharePoint and we upload this file to SharePoint. Let me just drag and drop this students range to this library, and the file is uploaded. And if I click on it, you can see the content. And this content is not a table. What we are trying to do, we want to create a table around this and read the content to the flow. First step is very easy. So let's do it this way. I go to flow.microsoft.com. I create a new flow. Again, it's an instant flow. I give it a name and I call it read range demo. Manually trigger a flow and I click on create. So the flow is created. Now I need to go to this file in this sheet, pick this range and create a table around it. And this is how it is done. So inside Flow, I click on New Step, and I go under Excel Online for Business. If you are using OneDrive, you can look for OneDrive. And as soon as I click on this, I can search for Create Table. So when I select the Create Table, it says, okay, where is the file? So I can comfortably find the file in the website. Document library, I picked the document library that I uploaded the file to it, and we pick up the file, which was called studentsrange.xlsx. Now we need to specify the table range. We need to say what is the area of that table. So we need to specify where in that Excel sheet the data is there and how we should create a table around it. To do that, I need to see the area that the content is there. This area starts from here to here. And if you look at here inside the flow, it clearly tells you that you need to specify it using A1 notation. So first thing in this file, we look for the right sheet. The sheet is called students. So I come back here and I start the students exclamation mark. If you can't recall it, go back to the Excel Basics, the second lecture of this section. After that, I need to pick the top left of this range. This cell is C10. So I go back here, I say C10. And the next one is going to be the last, which is the bottom right corner, and this cell is F18. So I go back here and I say colon F18. I can pick up a name for this, and here it's important because if you don't, you cannot really refer to this table in the next call. So I give it a name and I call it my students table, and we're good. I don't want to put the column names because, as you can see, the first row of this range contains the header information. Remember when we wanted to convert this one to table? If I say format as table and I pick something here, remember this check mark? Because in this range, the first row has the header information, let's assume that we want to check this checkbox. Inside the flow, we do not specify anything for the column names. Done. So the table is created. So far, it's easy. I mean, you can simply click on it, save, and test it, and the table is created, but don't rush into it. Hold your horses, because still we have one more thing to do. After the table is created, we need to get the rows in the table. And that's where the interesting part starts. I click on New Step, again under Excel Online, and I look for List Rows Present in a Table. Location, same location. So let's say Power Automate Workshop, document library, I'll pick up the documents, file, the same file. Hold on a second, what about the table? This file does not have any table. All right, because before you run this flow, the table does not exist. So I click on Enter Custom Value. Yes, I do not have a table, but after this table is created, the table name will be the name that I put here. Although this name is hard-coded here, you cannot really copy and paste this name here because immediately this action is going to verify and validate that table name. So what can we do? We can say, you know what, Flow, we don't know. You created your own table, ask your own action. So basically I can come here and under Create Table, I pick the table name from the Create Table action. So whatever the name that Create Table used to create the table will be passed to this one. Great. By now, we could create a table and we could read the content of the table. But hold on a second. Let's see, what if I want to get the first name and last name or first name and the age of people in this and I want to bring them to the flow. And this is where things get interesting. Before I go anywhere, before I really run it, I want to add a compose here, which is not going to do anything for me, but I need it to explain something for you. So in your own work, even if you don't add it, that's okay. I click on this compose, and the list rows present in a table, has value. I want to get that value and bring it here, and I will explain you after I run this for the first time. Then, assuming that the values is a list of items, so it's an array, we need an apply to each. So let's say apply to each. So apply to each can accept the value from the list rows present in a table. So let me pick this one up. So every item, every iteration of this apply to each is going to represent one row of this table. The rows that we know that these are the field names, but Flow doesn't know. So basically, when we are inside this, let me come here, when we are inside this apply to each, inside this flow, before the first execution, Flow doesn't have a clue that what is there in that table. Even if I want to create, for example, an email here, let's say send email, this flow does not have an idea about the first name, last name, or everything else that we have there. Let me just set it up for myself. Okay. And subject is going to be Excel items. If I go to the body and I want to pick up, for example, first name, if I search for first name, you don't find anything here. So what is the solution? This is where you need to use expressions. So basically, the value that is returned as a compose, we will open it and I will tell you where I get there. But for the body of the email, if I come back here, I can get a reference to the current item, but that current item doesn't help me. Current item has all the items in this row, or this one, or this one, depending on which iteration our apply to each is working on. So if I come back here, there must be a way to be more specific about this field that I want from this row. So let's go back to the Power Automate again. And this time I want to play a trick around and I want to say compose. If I click on compose and I click on the input, I can get the current item here. All right. And now with this current item, I can take it to the next level. And these are the backdoors of Power Automate. I can click on this three dots that you see on that corner, and I can click on Peak code. Items apply to each actually refers to the items that apply to each return. So basically, this takes the value of each row every time that we navigate through the items. So I take a copy of this. Make sure you don't include this @ sign. Click on Done. I don't need this guy anymore. But when I go to the send email, I go back to the body. I would say first name, comma. And this time, instead of looking up the item, I click on expression. I paste the current item here. And immediately after that, I add the field name that I have here. So basically here, inside flow, I would say items apply to each dot first name. Weird? It's not. How about last name? Let's do the same thing. I go to the expression, I paste this items apply to each dot last name. Okay, next line, I want to add age. I go to the expression again. I paste this apply to each dot age. So Flow doesn't know that these columns exist, but I know because I can see inside that Excel sheet range. So I click on OK, and that's just good enough. Just keep in mind, with the design that I have at the moment, this one sends one email for every single item in the list, which is okay at the moment because I just want to get to the point of having access to every single one of those items. Actually, I really don't need this compose anymore, so let me just delete it. And let's save and test it. Saved. Test. I'll perform the trigger action. Let me just close this guy. Mailbox is ready to receive these records. This is the dummy email. I just go back here, save and test. And it's time to continue and run flow. Done. Let's see if it works. So the table is created. List rows present in table worked, and apply to each worked, and it produced multiple emails. If I go to the Power Automate now and I open the students range, you see, oh God's sake, again, refresh. Okay, finally refreshed it. So you see that our range is table. If you don't see it is converted to a table, just refresh the page. There's no way that Power Automate reads the item without really creating the table. So if you don't see the table around your range, just refresh the page and you will see it. Then I go back to my mailbox. Yes, you can see every single item. Tasha, Maria, and blah, blah, blah to the end. Now this is what I want to show you. If I come back and I look into Compose, this is what you will see. Every single item that I have is presented here. For example, this is one item. This is one item starting from this curly bracket, dot first name, dot last name, or dot age, or dot country. All these things are picked up from here, which is actually the exact name that we decided for the column names here in the Excel file. All right. If you're confused and think, Ali, where the heck did you bring that information? And you think that, Ali, how can we find this information and what is the source for this? There are two things that you need to learn to take Flow to this level. Of course, this is not the beginner level. First thing is that you need to know JSON or JavaScript object notation. To learn JavaScript object notation, you can check JSON Crash Course. This is my course and it's free, so no costs at it. It's going to take you probably an hour, less than an hour maybe, just to go through everything in this course. And you get familiar with JSON. When that happens, you can easily understand and read through this content and how it is organized. But to write the expression, I have another course called Master Microsoft Power Automate or Flow Expressions in 2 hours. This is an intermediate course, but it takes you through all the tips and tricks and everything that you need to know to comfortably write flow expressions. I leave that to you, but we are done with this lecture. Let's go through your quiz and we will continue with Office forms.